Hello, a very good morning and welcome along to Ireland AM right here on Virgin Media 1.
It's Wednesday the 14th of September. There's lots to come between now and 10 a.m, including in just a few minutes' time. We're talking about a new survey that shows 18 to 24-year-olds, they all want emigration and do not want to live in Ireland.
We'd love to know what you think on that. 0896 111 111. Get in touch, please. Now, after 8 o'clock, The Apprentice star Pamela Laird is going to talk life after the boardroom, and she opens up about her dad's dementia diagnosis.
Now, you're never too old to play. This is according to psychotherapist Joanna Fortune. She's got a brand new book, and she'll be telling us why we should all be playing.
Adults playing.
After 8. Don't start.
Looking forward to finding out a bit more about that now from William and Harry, showing a united front to Kris Jenner's lie detector test. We're going to round up the latest showbiz stories.
He's so happy about it. Alan, what else have you got in store this morning?
Well, Muireann, he's played Bobby Kennedy in The Crown, but he also has... There he is in the... That's, what's that one?
Bridgerton.
Downton Abbey. Yeah, no, that's Downton Abbey.
I wasn't looking, sorry.
No,
we're trying to fix the camera.
Something like that.
Deric is braving it in the Octagon this morning. Deric, have you got your MMA moves ready?
Oh, I'll tell you, I'm not the best anyway, but we'll see how we get on across the morning. It's a mainly drawing set to start some shares into northern spots, but as you mentioned, we've come up here to SPG Gym in Drogheda in County Louth because Bellator is back with a bang on Virgin Media Television. So we've got Coach Kavanagh, where is he? He's there. And then we've got Clarke, he's an MMA fighter. We're going to be catching up with some of the guys, and of course, hopefully, the plan is I'll be in the ring in the next hour as well. So last time I was fighting on TV, I broke a rib, so we'll see how we get on.
Okay.
The way he says it. The way he's like, the last time I fight on TV every day. It's totally fine.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes for you, Deric. I'm glad we're in the studio. OK, time to get the news. Over to you, Anne O'Donnell.
Thanks, Tommy. Good morning. The Dáil returns today for the new term after the summer recess. Cabinet meets at government buildings later for the first time since March of 2020. Meetings had moved to Dublin Castle to allow for social distancing among members. Well, political focus today will be on the cost of living crisis and rising energy bills ahead of the budget, which is to be revealed earlier than usual at the end of the month. Queen Elizabeth II's coffin has arrived at Buckingham Palace after being flown in from Edinburgh. The royal family received the coffin as it arrived last night at the palace. Princess Anne accompanied the late Queen on her final flight. The coffin will be taken on a horse-drawn gun carriage today to Westminster Hall to lie in state for 4 days before Monday's funeral at Westminster Abbey. Last night, mourners lined the streets in a mark of respect to the late monarch.
I waved to her when she was a princess.
And you were very small.
And stood at the airport with my little flag. And so I could stand here tonight and say goodbye.
I was shocked and I do feel sad. And as we were watching, watching the hearse go past, it was a, oh, gosh, there it is, which I suppose a lot of people would be reacting the same way.
Back home, Gardaí are continuing to investigate the murder of a man in his 20s in Dublin. The man's body was discovered at a flat in Kevin Barry House in Dublin's north inner city on Monday evening. It's believed it had been there for a number of days. Gardaí are appealing to anyone with information to contact them. A counter-offensive in Ukraine has forced Russian soldiers to retreat from thousands of square miles. That's according to the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who says more territory has been regained as stabilisation measures are being carried out in liberated territories. Well, new developments are happening in both the east and the south.
The situation in the liberated territory of our state was analysed in detail. Stabilisation measures are being carried out in liberated territory, and as of now, similar measures have already been completed in a number of districts covering a total area of more than 4,000 square kilometres. There are still some occupiers and sabotage groups being detected. However, collaborators are being detained and full security is being restored.
In the US, weather extremes in the form of fires, floods and mudslides are being felt across the country. The state of California is one of the worst affected areas. Claire Regan reports.
The mosquito fire in Northern California is one of many continuing to burn in the state. Its fast-moving flames have scorched through tens of thousands of acres and forced the evacuation of more than 11,000 people.
Distraught, scared, frightened. We don't know if we even have a home.
All we can do is just hope and pray that everything goes okay for everybody.
In Southern California, heavy rains unleashed mudslides east of Los Angeles, prompting evacuations and shelter orders for thousands of residents. Some 50 people who became trapped had to be rescued by authorities via helicopter. The mudslides come a week after California endured a record-long heatwave, where temperatures in many parts of the state soared past 38 degrees Celsius. Claire Egan, Virgin Media News.
Well, the UN Weather Agency says the world is heading in the wrong direction when it comes to climate change. A new report from the World Meteorological Organization says weather-related disasters have increased fivefold over the last 50 years. The agency also says there's a 48% chance that the landmark 1.5 degree rise in global temperatures will be hit in the next 5 years.
For car insurance, van insurance or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. A very good morning to you at home. Or if you're indeed streaming online on the Player, we're coming to you live here from Drogheda in County Louth. We're actually at SPG Fitness here this morning because Bellator 285 is back with a bang on Virgin Media Television. So we're going to be catching up with Coach Paul Byrne as well as MMA fighter Ciarán Clarke. That's all to come in and around 7:45. You won't want to miss it. Hang with us for that. Anyway, an opening look at weather now this Wednesday morning with Conan Doyle on cameras. And I have to say it's a mainly dry, it's a mainly settled start out there now as we hit the hump of the week. So a little bit of good news. Some bright spells pulling through with some mist and fog to kickstart your day. But that'll certainly burn off pretty lively now in that northerly airflow. Now, right across today, in fact, it's a pretty decent day in store against some showers clipping western and northern spots. But elsewhere, that sunshine winning out towards the back end of the day. Top temps of 14 to 18 degrees. And finally then tonight, a good deal of cloud cover once again across the northern half of the island. It will clear out the further south, we think, with a little bit of patchy mist and fog trailing around as we tuck our way into your Thursday morning with overnight lows back to 7 to 13 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in Drogheda at the moment. The guys are working up a sweat here behind me, and we'll catch you again back live at 7:35.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote. A new survey has revealed that 70% of Ireland's young people, those between 18 and 24, they are considering emigrating over their fears about the future.
Now we're going to be discussing the findings of this research after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Now, 7 in 10 young Irish people are planning to emigrate because of the cost of living crisis.
Joining us now to discuss the findings of new research is Director of Policy and Advocacy at the National Youth Council of Ireland, Paul Gordon, and UCD student Aisling Maloney. Thank you both so much for being with us this morning. Aisling, I know you just started back in college on Monday, so fair play to you for being here on the first week. Paul, this is research that you've carried out. Have you seen a drastic difference over the past couple of years of people just feeling they can't afford to live in Ireland?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is 3 in 4 young people saying they think they'd have a better quality of life elsewhere. And what's quite startling from the results is that 7 in 10 are actually considering emigrating to get just that. And that's different from the past. In 2012, we had a similar survey that showed half of young people actually were considering emigrating. So to see that increase from a time when we were actually in recession then is very worrying. And I suppose what we're hearing is that young people are quite fearful for the future. And we really want to see measures taken to address that, to keep them here.
And is it the cost of living crisis at the moment that's really the core of it?
It's probably a combination of things. So the cost of living is affecting young people. It's affecting them in a different way to the rest of the population. So they spend a higher proportion of their income on things like public transport, on education charges, and they're spending more than the rest of the population on housing. So that is really, it's probably a combination of a few of those things. They're seeing high housing costs, very little available accommodation. And what they're hearing from friends abroad is that while there's a cost of living crisis everywhere, many young people are actually finding it easier in other countries with better public transport systems, cheaper public transport, cheaper education, and it's much easier to find accommodation, even if it may be a little as expensive as here. It's easier to find that place to live.
Well, Aisling, you are one of these people who's currently in college, who we hope will be taking over the country in the future and that you'll stay here. What are the issues that are facing you day to day? Because you're from Tipperary and you go to UCD. So I'm assuming that the costs for you are very high.
Yeah, like I'm facing high costs. I suppose the biggest cost I'm facing at the moment would be accommodation. So even though I'm in like the cheapest accommodation on campus, it's still upwards of 800 a month. So like that paired with public transport costs, like groceries every week, and then any other like things that come up in the meantime, like textbooks, because the course I'm doing, like the textbooks would be very expensive for the course. So all of that paired together, like it's just a constant worry for people like in my course and like just in general in university. Like there's a high cost all around.
And are your friends, or your friend group, and what you're hearing in college, is it the same for everyone?
Yeah. Obviously, some people are commuting and then some people are living in digs and then like campus accommodation. So the costs kind of differ for everyone. But at the end of the day, people are either facing very long commute times or they're paying like extortionate rent prices.
And you were saying one of your friends or someone you know is commuting how long a day?
One of my friends, she lives in Blanchardstown, so she's commuting about 2 hours on the bus every day. And that takes up a huge time of her commute because like we have 9 a.m. lectures. So she would have to get up at like maybe 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning just to be on time for the lectures. Yeah. And that's like if there's no public transport delays. So like she always risks missing her lectures because of public transport.
So she's living in one area of Dublin, because we're used to hearing now that people are having to travel from places like Athlone to Galway because that's the only place they can get the accommodation. So she's living in Dublin. It's taken her 2 hours to get to college on public transport, which is already costing a good bit. And you had a friend last year who was paying €11,000, not for an entire year, by the way. This is just for the 2 terms, for a room. €11,000. Like, Paul, no, how do we even have students in the country? It's cheaper to go other places.
Well, what we're hearing is that they're very fearful for the future. They see that it is cheaper to live and they may have a better quality of life elsewhere. They're also being hit with a second impact of the cost of living, and that's mental health issues. So 1 in 2 actually said their mental health has gotten worse in the past 6 months. More than 2 in 5 are less happy than they were before. And 8 in 10 are saying that they're fearful for the future. So that's of real concern to us, that's happening currently. And we really want to see action taken to support those young people, to show them that they do actually have a future in Ireland. Because emigration for many, when it's a choice, can be an enriching experience. But what people are saying to us is that it's not really a choice. Many are feeling that they're going to be forced out.
And what do you want the government to do? We have a budget coming up. What do you want to see?
Yeah, so this year we'd like to see investment in young people. I think there's a small window of opportunity for government to show young people that they're listening, that they're heeding their call and that they will support them. So we want to see measures taken to help them with the costs that they're seeing specifically. So things like education, a reduction in college fees, a reduction in apprenticeship fees for young workers. Currently, those under 20 actually earn less than the minimum wage. Many of them do, as low as $7.35 a week. We want to see that raised in line with the rest of the population. Young people seeking work, they receive €90 less a week in job seekers allowance. We want to see that raised in line with those who are over 25. And we also want to see more investment in public transport to help young people with those costs as well, along with investment in youth work, which delivers a great help to young people right across the country.
I suppose they have tried to do something in relation to public transport. We'd love to hear from you at home, whether, you know, you're in this cohort and it's like, there's no way I can afford to live here, or if you've got children who are going to be leaving, because we know a huge amount of the medical profession are emigrating all the time. 0896 111 111, because the argument could be made, Aisling, that of course young people are always going to go. They're going to go away for their year. They're going to, once they're finished college, they're gone. They're going to have a great time. They're going to go to Bali. They're going to go to Australia. For you, do you think that you have a future whereby you would be able to afford to buy a house, have a family, and live in Ireland on wages that wouldn't be exponential? Or does it feel like, well, sure, no one can buy a house in this country. Why would I bother staying here?
At the moment, no. Like, straight up, no. I just don't think it's, like, possible to live here. Like, I have friends on Erasmus at the moment, and even them telling me stories from abroad, like, they're telling me how cheaper it is abroad right now than it is to live in Ireland. And at the end of the day, when I graduate, I want to live in Ireland. This is where I grew up. This is where I was born and raised. Like, this is the country where I want to live for the rest of my life. But at the end of the day, if I can't afford to live here, and if I don't have a certain standard of living here, then I don't really have much of a choice to end up going abroad then, because at the end of the day, if I can't have a comfortable life here, what's the point in staying?
And it's so sad, isn't it? And I mean, is it affecting college life? Because when you go to college, those days are just brilliant. Is it affecting like college life? Are you seeing that? Are you hearing that? And are you seeing that in person?
Like, can you have a bit of crack?
Can you have a bit of fun? Can you have a bit of, like, is it taking away from the days you should be having in college?
Like, college students, like, we can still have our fun and stuff, but there is always that constant worry at the back of our minds. Like, we'll still go out and we'll meet our friends and stuff, but at the end of the day, when we come home in the evenings, we're worrying about these things. Like, I even know last semester I was impacted, like, my academics were impacted last semester, just because of all the stress that I was under, I had to get what is called an extenuating circumstance. So I had to basically prove to them that I was under so much stress with everything going on outside of college that I couldn't complete one of my assignments in time. And luckily enough that I was granted that extenuating circumstance, otherwise it would have affected my grade. But just because of all the stress that I was under, they understood that obviously I wasn't at the best of my ability. So I was granted that extenuating circumstance then.
And you seeing there are other people like that as well?
Yeah, one of my friends, like she had to get one of those for like nearly all of her modules. And I'm sure there's other people, like there's plenty of people in the same situation. Some people probably didn't even like qualify for that and had to actually like get the grade deductions or penalties.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a widespread issue across campus.
And Paul, like you're saying you listed out a number of things there. You're saying the government. What do you think realistically they can do in the budget for you?
Well, what we're saying is we're not asking for the world in this budget. We're asking for €1 in every €39 to be spent on young people aged 18 to 24. To show that they're welcome here, to show that they can be supported through the coming months. And after that, we need to come up with a strategy to actually help young people with the huge challenges they're facing around housing. Many are on low wages, temporary contracts. And like Aisling has said, I think some don't see a future. They don't think they'll ever be able to afford a property here. And that home ownership is really obviously an ambition for many. And the stats are showing people that they won't be able to do that.
What about the argument for people who, you know, grew up in the 80s and there wasn't free college, or I know it's not free college now, just kind of going, they just need to buck up. You know, everyone's gotten a bit too soft. We've got net immigration into the country, people who are doing jobs that Irish young people won't do, you know, Brazilians living 8 to a room, like that. They just need to harden up. What do you say to stuff like that?
Well, the fact is, young people now are actually, anyone born in the 90s, they're actually earning less than people born in the 70s and 80s. They're the first generation who will be earning less by the time they're 26 than people that went before. So that doesn't really stack up. I understand those arguments, but I think young people now, they're actually facing regression, the first generation in a very long time. So we do need to support them.
First generation to be less well off than the generation before them, and that is in centuries, centuries and centuries. That's something we have to remember. Paul Gordon, who's Director of Policy and Advocacy at the National Youth Council of Ireland, and Aisling Maloney, who is a student in UCD, just back. And we know that you're doing some interesting things. Maybe one day, and politically, you will change things for us. Aisling, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks both.
Thank you both very much. So sad, like that. It is our future.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
Look at it.
This is what we're doing. We'd love to hear from you. 0896 111 111. Still to come, we'll be looking at the stories making the papers this morning.
Ireland AM is back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Right, it's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. I suppose we'll read them here. Where away you go.
Sorry, they're coming up now.
Go with the Irish
we're going to
Times.
start with the Irish Times first. Its headline, Windfall EU Profit Levies to Support Spending in Budget. It goes on to say that Ireland's share of European Union levies on windfall revenues currently flowing to energy companies would be used to provide direct support to citizens and businesses under government plans to be unveiled in the budget later this month.
Energy crunch, thousands to be forced to pay higher rates. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. It reveals that thousands of households face being placed on the most expensive tariffs for electricity and gas as more suppliers flee the Irish market.
The Examiner leads with students facing homelessness. Hundreds of students face either studying while homeless or having to give up their college place amid one of the worst student accommodation crises ever.
The Mirror goes with murdered man lay dead for a week. The remains of suspected murder victim Tony Dempsey were discovered in North Inner City Dublin on Monday night, as it's believed that his body lay in a flat for a week while people moved in and out of the property.
The Star leads with that same story. Their headline, Body in Drugs Den for a week, whilst the Herald goes with murder victim's body in drug den for over a week.
The Sun's front page leads with the headline, Warning, convicted rapist Simon McGinley is set to be released from Dublin's Arbour Hill prison, with calls for him to wear a tag.
And finally, 2/3 want price cap on their utility bills is the top story on the Daily Mail. It continues by saying that a recent poll has found that the public want energy caps to be introduced rather than a discount on bills.
Now, joining us to discuss what is making the news this morning is Michelle Hennessy from the Journal.ie. Good morning to you, Michelle. Yeah, pretty bleak headlines again this morning, but I think we should talk about the tax report that's been released today. I mean, it's fair to say that this is proposals, not something that's going to be brought through by the government?
Yeah, so it's proposals from the Commission on Taxation and Welfare, and that's going to be published by Pascal Donoghue, the Minister for Finance. And as you say, it is just proposals, but I mean, this is a big Commission report, and you can expect that the government is going to take on at least some of it. Now, I should add as well that anything they're proposing is not to be introduced right now or this year or even next year. It's something that will be introduced over a number of years. So I think if some of it is quite worrying, and I think people are going to be concerned about it, particularly people who are struggling at the moment. And I think most people in the country have seen, their pockets hit in the last year or the last few years, if we include the pandemic in that as well. So, I mean, some of the things that they're talking about, and I think one of the big things that the papers have gone with is the hit to the tax relief for health insurance, because something that has been encouraged over recent years is getting private health insurance. And now what they're suggesting they do is to basically get rid of that. Now, for a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 children, that would cost a family €600 a year. That's quite significant for a family. And less than half the population at the moment has private health insurance, but it's still, 47% is still a significant number of people to be impacted by that. And now the Commission is arguing that Sláinte Care should be introduced and, that should cover a lot of this. But we've been hearing about Sláinte Care for years and years, and there's so much of it that hasn't been done and has been stalled by 2 years by the pandemic as well. So I'm not sure that justification is really going to fly with people.
It's just tax relief and health insurance while they're trying to weight it and trying to make sure that everyone has it, because you're going to be paying more when you're older. The thing about this is that on Monday and Tuesday we had proposals on the front of the paper, and that was the inheritance tax to be increased so that we'd get lower thresholds, and then there was the tripling of PRSI for people who were self-employed up to 11.5%, I think it was. So were these things sort of leaked to be like, look how bad it could be, we're not going to do these, but we're going to get rid of the Help to Buy scheme, we're going to get rid of we're going to scrap the lower rates of VAT on fuel, and you're going to have to pay tax on your health insurance? Like, does it feel like it was a cynical move?
Yes, sometimes it is. Sometimes that trickle out of information is done on purpose to see what's going to be popular and how bad is it actually going to be. I think that the Help to Buy scheme is going to be a controversial one, because if you look at how much trouble people are in at the moment in terms of the housing crisis, it is very difficult for young people in particular to buy their own home. And they're also talking about increasing dirt tax, which is the increase, which is the interest that you pay on the interest in your savings.
Yeah, because so many people are using that much. Like, we're talking about you're saving for a rainy day. A lot of people, I think the total savings held by Irish households at the end of 2021 is 136 billion.
Yeah,
which
very high.
Which is insane.
Well, you can understand why the government would want to get a piece of that, is the point. And what the Commissioner is suggesting is that they raise that from 33% to 52%, which is a huge increase. Now, again, that wouldn't be immediately, it would be over, a period of time.
But it's our money. We've paid tax on it already.
And we're also always advised to save. It's the smart thing to do, the smart thing to do is to save.
But now we've saved too much. Essentially, we've saved too much money.
You're saving so that you can afford to pay these new recent energy bills, electricity bills, gas bills. You're going to have to dip into that. You're going to have to use that money if you're going to try and get yourself on the property ladder. And then they think that they're going to scrap the Help to Buy scheme, saying that the Commission believes that many of those using it would be able to provide a deposit for a home even if the scheme didn't exist.
There's an argument with Help to Buy from some people who have used that it's driving the cost of prices up, of houses up, I should say, per unit.
And that is a factor, and that that's something that they're saying. But you're right that if they take all of this and they do a lot of these together, that's really going to hurt people. And on top of that, then if your health insurance is gone, is gone up, we're talking higher premiums. People might decide to get rid of their private health insurance.
Yes,
and that's going to have an impact on everybody.
Of course they would. If you're a family with 2 kids, you'd be like, fine, I'm not going to have it. 0896 111 111. You're going to be hearing about this tax report, this Commission, throughout the day, no doubt. Today, we've spoken about this before, but the introduction of free contraception for women between 17 and 25. This is a good thing.
This is a good news story.
This is a very good news story.
They're rare, but this is a good news story. Yeah, so that's being introduced this week for women aged 17 to 25. And what it means is that contraception is going to be covered, and that includes their doctor's visits that are related. So people who've been on the pill will know that you will have to go get your blood pressure checked every so often. The doctor might call you in to get your prescription rather than just giving it to you for collection, and you have to pay the fee then to see the doctor. And that's actually where a lot of the costs come in, because a lot of the actual contraceptive pills are not hugely expensive if you're on a decent income, but it's the doctor's visits that really get you, because they are very expensive. So, I mean, at the moment, it's 65 to 100 euro every 6 months. That's a pretty big cost for people, and it's particularly for those who are on low incomes. You know, for young people who are either studying, who have a part-time job, it's not really enough for them, especially considering the rents at the moment.
Exactly. I mean, we just had that student on talking about the rent that she's having to pay, her friends, the public transport to get to and from university.
Students facing homelessness.
I mean, this is aimed at that age, 17 to 25. So, as you say, GP visits, but also, what is it, 100 euro every 6 months? Like, it's something that really should have been there. Do you know, it's not something that we should really have to expect.
Because it is also healthcare.
Of course,
you know,
it is.
And I think that people don't think of it in that way. I think it's positive that the state is now starting to think in this way, and also starting to think more about women's health in general. Now, this is also going to cover devices like contraceptive devices, longer term ones like IUDs, injections, the contraceptive patches, and also emergency contraception. And those things are very expensive. So we're talking between 250 and 320 euro. That's once off, but still, you know, as an upfront cost, that's very expensive for a young person.
Yeah, and for an awful lot of these people, it's important, as you mentioned, it's healthcare. People have crippling periods, and sometimes they need to regulate them through the use of this.
You know, have to ask your parents, can you go to do it? I mean,
but it's great news story, really good to hear.
It is, and there are plans to expand this beyond that age group as well.
No, I rang the doctor the other day. I was only on for 30 seconds. 60 quid.
You've plenty of money, you'll be all right.
Plenty of money, loads. I was like, 60 quid, I told you for 30 seconds.
Listen, another, I suppose, good news for certain people. The minimum wage is set to increase from January. I mean, maybe not so good for small employers who already have to face gas bills and energy hikes that are going only one direction at the moment too.
Yeah, it's one of those good news, bad news stories. I mean, for 10% of workers, it's good news, because that's how many, that's the percentage of the working population who are on the minimum wage at the moment. And considering, you know, all the things that we've been talking about, the increase in fuel in particular, and the general rise in the cost of living, it's quite a vulnerable cohort in terms of the wages they're earning, so they really need that. So what we're going to see is an increase of 80 cents to 11.30 per hour. Now, this is moving towards a living wage of 13.70 an hour, but that's not to be in place until 2026 or by 2026. But that's the aim. That's where they're hoping to move towards.
Would that be to be around 20 to 23,000 euro per year? Yeah, which is tough, even considering, like, you can't live in Dublin on that sort of price, really, can you? It's very difficult.
People are living in Dublin on that, but they're not living well.
No.
And I think that's the point, is that the quality of life that somebody can have on that wage is
eight people to a room in some cases. Like, you're talking about bunk beds. You can look in the windows in certain suburbs in Dublin and go, well, there's 8 people living in that
And in what is considered, you know, a developed country and, you know, a cosmopolitan city, you know, this isn't the way we want people to be living. But you're right to say that it is going to put pressure on businesses as well. And I think that's a consideration that the government is going to have, you know, in terms of other types of supports. Because I think you have to separate the two. You can't just go, well, workers don't get a pay rise because it's bad for businesses, you know, that there are other things the government can do. So I think this is positive for them, for workers, but for businesses, there may have to be something else.
We had that lady on, was it a week or two ago, talking about her energy bill that came in, and it was 3 to 4 times more expensive. So all of a sudden she has to pay now her employees a lot more as well. It's that knock-on as well. But it's interesting to see in the paper today, 2 of the members of the Low Pay Commission have actually opposed that. They've rejected that 80 cent that they wanted it to be, to bring it up to 12 euro. They wanted an extra €1.50.
But it's interesting, because I suppose when you're talking about the small businesses, the places that give towns and cities and villages character, they're going to be hit so much, and it's kind of the multinationals who can probably afford it a little bit more, where we're all becoming more and more homogenous. No, but like even people who are working in shops, like well-known shops that are all over the world, they can probably afford it an awful lot more than someone who's, you know, has a coffee shop.
The smaller businesses
that gives the actual ambience to a village, town or city.
And I know that a lot of those small businesses have been struggling post-COVID to get, you know, experienced workers as well. But, you know, the increase in the minimum wage might help, because, you know, higher wages will attract people into those jobs as well.
0896 111 111, let us know what you think about everything that we're talking about today. Some good news stories
Some good news.
Some good news stories. The front page has been harrowing today.
there.
Michelle Hennessy from the Journal.ie, thank you so much for chatting to us today. We'll talk to you again soon.
This is a bit of a good news story. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, he broke a rib the last time that he did this on the telly. So coming up, Deric gets schooled in mixed martial arts. Should we be letting him do
I
this?
can't wait. See you after the break. Good morning. You're very welcome back to the show. Excuse me.
Okay.
Deric, now, very excited with this. Is getting a masterclass in all things MMA this morning.
Now, I need you to calm down because we're teasing it forward. I know you're mad to see
he's
it.
not going to get beaten up now.
No, he's not getting beaten up now. It's too early in the morning. He is in Straight Blast Gym in Drogheda. No better man. Good morning, Deric Hartigan.
Absolutely, guys. Welcome here to SBG Gym here in Drogheda in County Louth. Of course, Bellator 285 is back with a bang on Virgin Media Television next Friday week, and we're joined now by Coach Paul Byrne, MMA fighter Ciarán Clarke, also by Angela Dice. First up, Coach Paul, I'm telling you, MMA fighting it's grown huge popularity, hasn't it?
Yes, Derek, it's really taken off here in Ireland. You know, I think with the success of Conor, obviously, you know, a lot of the youths are trying to get into it, and also you have the self-defence aspect, the fitness aspect. You know, it's all over.
And of course, the Irish team's doing great at the moment.
Unbelievable, yeah. We're just back from Abu Dhabi, and Irish team is very strong. I think we came like 4th in the world, you know, which is huge. The amount of countries that was entered into the tournament, you know.
Now, you trained with John Kavanagh, who is Conor's coach.
Yeah. So I was fighting professional under John, and you know, like I'm 40 now this year. So
you're shoving on.
Shoving on.
Like myself.
A few aches and pains, and it was time to kind of hand over the torch to some of the youth. So we decided to open up SPG Drogheda here. And we saw some of the lads here this morning, Paul. You know, it's all about discipline. Yeah. It's not just about tearing the heads off each other. Yeah, exactly. and it's we want to bring everyone into the sport, not just people that want to fight. Like this morning, we had a program called Train Alta, where we bring in individuals with no background to come in and train for like 20 weeks, 5 mornings, early mornings. And at the end, they have the option if they want to compete in an amateur MMA bout.
So basically, it's like leave your ego at the door and fight on the floor.
Exactly,
and one man who is fighting next Friday week is Ciarán Clarke. Ciarán, you've come up through the ranks as well.
Oh yeah, big time, yeah. I'm fighting now in a few weeks. Sorry, 9 days actually. It's it crept up for me there now, so it's upon me now next Friday, so looking forward.
And you're fighting a Frenchman?
Fighting another Frenchman, yeah. I think they like giving me the Frenchman, you know, so yeah, look, another Frenchman's tough challenge, but looking forward to going 6-0 with Bellator.
Now, you've had a bit of a build-up to this one. Normally your lead-in is about 7 to 8 weeks. You've had 14 or 15 weeks on this one.
Yeah, so it's been a long build-up, like, you know, so I'm glad to be over the training now and feeling the aches and pains, but just get the body recovered now for next week, and yeah, all systems go, you know.
And of course, you grew up with your brother Darryl. You share the same birthday, only 2 years apart.
Yeah.
And you know, great to have him, I suppose, as great support.
Oh, big time, yeah. He's in the corner as well for the fights always, and massive support from him, obviously, and it's great to have him there. And 2 of us growing up together, you know, as brothers are killing each other and all that, got us into it then from there, you know. So it's brilliant, brilliant.
And you started off with 300 people, you know, coming to your fights. Now we're talking 10,000 in the 3 Arena next Friday week. Like, what a huge jump! And this is actually your 6th fight, and you've had 5 professional wins in a row.
Yeah. I mean, I just said 300 people in GAA halls and all the rest, and here I am now, you know, having my 5th professional fight. Sorry, my 6th one, but my 5th one in the 3 Arena, so look to stay on the feet inside the walls, you know.
And I remember your mug on the Lewis. At one stage of it last year, is it still on there?
Yeah, it's still rocking about there, yeah, so that was a mad experience to see that, my face on it, you know.
I know, but it's great to have the local support here in County Louth as well. And the sport not only for lads, for ladies, for women too. And Angela, you can give as good as you can get.
Yeah, we can indeed. There's a lot of females taking up the sport now. Me myself, I actually took part in Outer before, which was called Wimp to Warrior.
Wimp to Warrior, I love the name of that.
Cool. So I actually took part in that, and yeah, I fell in love with it then. So as soon as that was over, I signed up here with Paul.
And it's a pretty tough sport. I've watched it on air, and you know, you really get stuck in, don't you?
Yeah, we get stuck in. Just give as good as the lads get. But yeah, no, we love it.
You're well able for it. And of course, Coach Paul, we're going to be getting into the cage in the next hour.
Bit of a tussle in the cage.
Yeah, a little bit of grapple.
Yeah, I'll go easy.
No, I'm from Limerick. Don't mind that. Don't be going easy on me. So there we have it, lads. Come back to us into the next hour. We have Coach Byrne in the cage, and I'm going to put him through his paces.
Watch yourself there. You got that leg broken again.
What is he good for?
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Lads, it was the last time I saw him on telly doing this.
Making the sort of noises that
making the noise. I've never laughed so much. It was brilliant. So make sure that you check out that one.
A lot of text coming through on the conversation you had at 7:15, just about, was it 7 in 10 young people in Ireland are considering leaving the country.
Yeah.
And it's emigrating. It's not just going away for the year. It's like they're
literally
gone.
going. They just don't see a future for themselves in this country.
Now, the thing is, because I was listening to this on the Tonight Show last night, and they were saying that still employment is huge here in Ireland.
Yeah.
But it's the people. There's employment in tech, in pharmaceuticals, where the money is. But it's actually people on standard jobs can't find the work, can't afford to do it.
Look at this. My daughter worked hard and qualified as a secondary school teacher. The only positions available are maternity cover. A lot of our fellow students are leaving the country to get jobs. We struggled to get her through college, and it was all for nothing. No permanent job and no advice on what young people are going to make decisions in the future.
So a teacher can't get a job.
A qualified secondary school teacher can't get a job.
I mean, that's kind of what the bread and butter was back in the day. That you were a teacher, a guard, a bank, and you'd be able to afford a house, and you'd be able to afford childcare and have a good standard living. And
Not
unfortunately,
anymore.
the way we see things coming through as well.
How many times did parents over the years sort of say, get a qualification, become a teacher,
Find
become a
pensionable
guard?
job.
And there's money in the bank, and now they're going to tax that
We'd
as well.
love to hear from you. We've got more messages coming up very shortly. 089 611 111.
Now, still to come, he starred on Broadway and the West End stages, as well as Bridgerton and Downton Abbey. Julian Ovenden stops by for a chat.
Plus, the Apprentice star Pamela Laird tells us what Alan Sugar was really like. Ireland AM is back in just a few minutes.
Hello, good morning. You're very welcome back to Ireland AM. We've lots to come between now and 10 o'clock.
We do indeed. From Dragon's Den to the Apprentice, beauty boss Pamela Laird is definitely not afraid to put her best foot forward, and that's exactly what she's doing in her next project. We'll tell you more in just a little while.
We are also going to be learning about the importance of playtime, even for adults. What does it mean? Who knows? That's going to be with clinical psychotherapist Joanna Fortune.
It's about laser tag. It's about playing hide and seek. Do you want to go play hide and seek now? We'll have great fun. We're going to have great fun.
Delighted with that.
And in just a little while, we're going to be talking to a star of stage and screen, Alan.
No, it's not Alan, is it?
No, it's not me.
All right, sorry.
Yes.
It was a
Downton Abbey star Julian Ovenden tells us about his upcoming musical theatre role and his real-life connections to Queen Elizabeth II. So all that coming up a little later on. And Deric is getting a crash course in MMA this morning. How's it going, Deric?
I'll tell you, Al, come here. This is what's ahead of me here behind me now. The boys are just getting set up because we're getting a masterclass in the cage in and around 8:45 here this morning. So we're going to be working up a little bit of a sweat over the next wee while. Come back to us for that.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, Windfall EU profit levies to support spending in budget. It goes on to say that Ireland's share of European Union levies on windfall revenues currently flowing to energy companies would be used to provide direct support to citizens and businesses under government plans to be unveiled in the budget later this month.
Energy crunch, thousands to be forced to pay higher rates. That's the front page of the Indo. It reveals that thousands of households face being placed on the most expensive tariffs for electricity and gas as more suppliers flee the market.
The Examiner leads with students facing homelessness. Hundreds of students face either studying whilst homeless or having to give up their college place amid one of the worst student accommodation crises ever.
The Mayor goes with murdered man lay dead for a week. The remains of suspected murder victim Tony Dempsey were discovered in North Inner City Dublin on Monday night, as it's believed that his body lay in a flat for a week while people moved in and out of the property.
The Star leads with that same story. Their headline, body in drugs den for a week, while the Herald goes with murder victim's body in drug den for over a week.
The Sun's front page leads with headline, warning, convicted rapist Simon McGinley is set to be released from Dublin's Arbour Hill prison with calls for him to wear a tag.
And finally, 2/3 want price cap on their utility bills. That's the top story on the Daily Mail. It continues by saying that a recent poll has found that the public want energy caps to be introduced rather than a discount on bills.
Now, looking at the front of the Examiner anyway, Alan, talking about people struggling with finding accommodation. A lot of young people talking about leaving the country.
We were talking about a survey and we had some students on earlier on that 8 out of 10?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10 were saying that they didn't see a future here and were seriously thinking about moving abroad. And not just for the year, but just to move away because they just didn't see a future in this country, which is so sad.
And Pat says here, my daughter has already gone abroad due to the cost of living. Also, she had no social life and there was no public transport available. My son is in DCU with accommodation costing €800 a month. Then on top of that, there's transport, groceries and general living expenses. As his parents, we're struggling and also have a mortgage to pay along with this high cost of living. Thank you for that, Pat.
Yeah, Joan said, picky students. Myself and my husband advertised a room to rent in our house in Leixip on the Maynooth accommodation website last week. Leixip is only 10 minutes from Maynooth by train. We've only had 2 calls about it. We expect to be inundated with calls, but apparently they all want to have accommodation in Maynooth. Is there really a shortage or just picky students? Because it is with the Examiner. I mean, whenever you read that, they're saying UL are talking about at least 100 of its students will be homeless while studying. UCC is getting 60 queries a day about accommodation. So
then it must
who do you believe then?
But then obviously maybe Maynooth's not having that problem as much as other places.
Or maybe students are being picky.
Or maybe they
want to live right beside the university.
Yeah, but maybe they can't afford to travel from Maynooth to Leixip.
But surely it's only 10 minutes. It's one stop on a train.
What time does public transport stop? I'm not sure what time it stops there, so you might have to be
they
getting
can have a few beers when they get back to Leixip.
Yeah, there's lots of pubs in Leixip.
Do you think they'll be allowed to have beers in the house as digs?
Oh, listen, if they're renting it.
I don't know what your situation is.
It's a worldwide crisis. Hopefully these young people realise the cost of living crisis worldwide. The expense of college here is nothing compared to the US.
But they're not going to the
US.
getting the free, it's not free college, but they're having college here. And then they're like, well, I can't afford anything here. I can't afford to be a teacher here, so I'm going to go and be a teacher somewhere else.
And listen, cost of living exactly is going to be more expensive, probably in Australia, probably in the US and certain areas that they're going. But it's the quality of life.
It's not though. That's the thing. It's not more expensive.
If you live in New York, it's going to be as
on par. It's almost on par.
Okay, well, where would you prefer to live? New York?
Or Dublin, New York. Yeah, exactly. See you later, bye.
So you can probably see
but that's
why
what I'm saying, it's on par. Why wouldn't they go?
And living on Bondi Beach in the sun, it's the standard
it's the way
of
life. Yeah, it's a way of life.
Absolutely.
Keep those texts coming in, 0896 111 111. Are students just being picky? Or are they just not getting the opportunity? Are Ireland forcing them away? Let us know.
Yeah, do indeed. Now coming up, she was fired by The Apprentice by Lord Sugar, but is grateful for the experience. Beauty entrepreneur Pamela Laird joins us for a chat after the break.
Well, she's the beauty expert and entrepreneur who made her mark on shows such as Dragon's Den and The Apprentice.
Good morning, Pamela Laird. How are you doing?
Good morning, guys. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's lovely to have you here because we know you from being on those 2 major shows. But that wasn't for show for you because before you'd done your leaving cert, you'd set up your very first business.
I had. I'd set up, ready to set up a nail bar as soon as I finished my leaving cert. So actually the week after my debs, I opened the nail bar.
What? Where did this come from, this spirit where you were like, right, OK, let's go, let's get it done?
I think I had 1 foot out the door from 3rd year, because I think having seen my mum, she had her own beauty salon, I just wanted that. I wanted that for myself and I was so eager to work. So I just couldn't find anything within school that felt applicable to me and I just wanted so badly to do my own thing.
So, well, I suppose we should go on to that because, see, you left school and then would set up these businesses, but you've actually gone back to school again, I believe, as well. So you're doing an MBA.
I'm doing an MBA. I'm in week 2 of an MBA at Smurfit UCD. So, yeah, it's so exciting.
Why? Is it just kind of you felt it was something like a box you hadn't ticked?
Yeah, I think you couldn't have paid me to go to college at the time, but I honestly felt like that was one piece that was missing. And I put 5 years into my current business, blood, sweat and tears. And for myself, I thought I really wanted to invest in myself and improve myself as a business owner and leader. And an MBA just felt so right, and the timing felt really right. And it made me feel like I don't have to have that imposter syndrome walking into a boardroom now. The Lord Sugar boardroom is different, but the real world boardrooms, I always felt like I shouldn't be there because I didn't have that business degree.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you think that was internalised, or were you made to feel that way?
Do you know, I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of business jargon that goes on that's not necessary, but in real world, a lot of people in those boardrooms will have done a degree, and so that's just the way they carry on. And I think it was just I suppose an insecurity that I felt, and if I had a chance to do something about it, and it all just fell into place this year. I worked really hard on an exam during the summer, and the stars were aligned, and yeah, I'm doing it.
I mean, because you said you had maybe a bit of imposter syndrome going into that boardroom with Lord Sugar on The Apprentice. You did pretty well, considering you came third in it, almost down to the final two. Like, what is the stress like in a room like that?
Honestly, you can't even imagine. Like, the whole day is set up to stress you out. Like, it's a TV show first and foremost, and so from the minute you leave the house at 10 a.m, you're not allowed to speak to anybody. So you could have not spoken for 4 hours by the time you enter the boardroom and Lord Sugar points his finger at you. It's to build tension, so you can't kind of form alliances with each other.
And to make you doubt yourself.
And you doubt yourself, and you don't, and your voice is all crackly because you haven't spoken in hours, and so the stress levels, it's just, and do you know what, it's fun looking back.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Even what the producers psychologically do to you.
Yes, it is fun because I think it's such it's such an experience you couldn't replicate. You know, it's kind of like being in Big Brother, except you're not being filmed all the time. It's just this surreal bubble that you're in for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
It's funny, you two, Muireann and Alan have been talking about the Bake Off all morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine
That's
they do
my sort
that.
of reality TV. Where everyone wants to hug each other and they love each other, and then you get to eat cake at the end. It's
very
so
different,
good.
very different.
Very, very different. Yeah. But you have successfully, you know, from the nails, Moxie, your business, you've done all this. You've had huge support from your parents. Like, this was, because you saw your mum doing it when you were younger. So when you see it, you can do it. You can believe it, I assume.
100%. And I think I just wanted that independence that both my parents had, because my dad had his own business too. And I think it just felt like the way I wanted to be. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be hardworking and just kind of build my own life.
We can see a picture of you and your lovely dad there as well, because I mean, another thing that's really impacted you and your family, and your dad in particular, Sylvester, he was diagnosed with dementia back in 2016. And as you said, like, he had his own business, a very successful man. I'm sure it's been a difficult time, certainly in the last couple of years.
It has, and I think maybe even more so heightened by the fact that I've done such great things over the last few years that Dad hasn't really been able to kind of grasp or remember. So that's hard, you know. And because he would have been such a great support and had always been. And like you say, my parents were like, whatever you want, go for it. Their support was there from day one. So yeah, it's difficult to have him there physically, but really not there supporting me.
But it's so hard when you're so...
Body, not mind,
exactly.
But when you're so young, like, it's not something that you're going to think is going to happen to your parents, like maybe when you're older and that happens. Do you remember signs, or was it something that was thrust upon you because you didn't notice the little things?
I think hindsight's always amazing because you go, oh, was that a sign? And most definitely we can now identify those early signs, you know, forgetting where things were, or, oh, the road layout might have changed, those types of things. So, look, we look back now and there were signs for sure, but obviously it's the kind of disease that does accelerate quite rapidly.
Yeah.
Is it something that is certainly, the numbers seem to be really rising here in Ireland?
Yeah, more and more people are diagnosed every day and younger, you know, I think because those signs are being identified much earlier. So, yeah, the statistics are that it is climbing, and most people are diagnosed under 65 now.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's something that I see even in sport. There's actually a lot of players within rugby that have been diagnosed with early onset dementia, which it's a frightening disease. It really is, and seems to accelerate very, very fast.
It does, and it can affect people so differently in terms of mobility. That is also a vascular dementia symptom, you know, not having the same mobility you once had, confusion, sadness. You know, it's not always just forgetting things. The confusion is probably the worst part, to see your loved one being so confused and not being able to kind of pull them out.
Because I know that you say, you know, there's things that he can't remember that you've done, but the way you talk about the life that your dad had, you know, he had a car business. He was George Peppard's stunt double.
Yes.
From the A-Team.
Yes.
What? Like, what? Hold on one second. And then he used to drive Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton around when they came to Ireland.
He did. He had an amazing life. I can tell you, when he told me the stories at the time, I rolled my eyes like, who, what, whatever, Dad. But now I'm like, that is the coolest thing. He had such a fantastic life. And yeah, when they would come over to go to Ardmore Studios, he would lend them cars, he would drive them around. Mum was always like, yeah, he loved Elizabeth Taylor. I'm not surprised. But yeah, George Peppard's stunt double, like, he actually looked quite like him at the time as well, which was very funny.
To have a life
the Colonel with the big,
how cool
cigar.
is that? How did that come about, the stunt double?
Well, because he was kind of the guy who would look after people in Bray with cars. That was really how it linked up. So he would just, you know, oh, do you want a car while you're here, you know, living in Ireland? And just that would be my dad networking his way into whatever opportunity.
Like yourself, doing this kind of stuff, because I just love he'd have to get a car with really good suspension for Elizabeth and all her diamonds. I can imagine if she comes in and be like, I have to get her a proper one here.
For sure.
But
the
you
apple
are
doesn't
involved.
fall far from the tree.
I don't think
here.
so. And what fabulous stories to have about him, because how is he doing now?
He's okay. Like, you know, it never gets any better, and just hopefully as it gets worse that it's slower. You know, we're so lucky to have him at home. My mum is his full-time carer now, and I think that is helpful. Obviously it's extremely stressful for her and for us as a family, but it's great that we can have Dad there and know that he's been cared for.
That he's at home and he's with you. It's amazing what your mum is doing.
And most people suffering with dementia are actually at home. Like, I think it's over 65%. So there are a lot of families obviously being delighted to take care of their loved one, but taking on that burden.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you think there's 64,000 people in Ireland with dementia, and they reckon in the next 25 years that's going to rise to 150,000 people with dementia. So listen, you're on a course for the Alzheimer's Memory Walk.
Yes.
It's something that is obviously very close to your heart, and you're encouraging more people to get involved in it.
Absolutely. It's the Memory Walk. It takes place this Sunday. And what's great about it is you can walk wherever you want.
Yeah.
So there's not one location you have to go to. So if it's in your back garden, with the dogs, with your friends, with your family, you can sign up on memorywalk.ie, and funds will go directly to support those carers at home with people with dementia, family carers.
Family carers.
Who don't get that support that they need.
They don't.
Really don't.
They don't.
Because the government, we don't have the funds. We all know what's happening with carers in this country.
Yeah.
And the fact is we need so many charities to kind of support what we can, because there aren't places for people to go. So it's like what your family are doing and what so many families are doing around is fantastic. So it's the Alzheimer's Memory Walk. It's this Sunday, September 18th. And it is World Alzheimer's Month at the moment.
It is.
And people can find out more information online. It's all there.
They can. You can sign up straight away and walk wherever you like, and all the funds will go towards those home support centres, that helpline that the Alzheimer's Society run, and carers courses as well.
Pamela Laird, listen, you may get the bus because you need to get yourself into college pretty quickly. You got that MBA to go.
Are you going to college?
I'm going to college.
Pamela, thank you so much for joining us this
Great
morning.
to have you
Cheers.
with us.
Thank you.
Now, still to come very shortly, psychotherapist Joanna Fortune is going to help us reconnect with our inner child.
Plus, Deric is stepping inside the octagon. No better man. We'll talk to you in just a few minutes.
Now, are you looking to find joy and meaning in everyday life?
Yes.
Well, you know what? I think
moment.
we've got the right book for you.
Tommy. Why We Play is the new book from psychotherapist Joanna Fortune, and she joins us now. Good morning, Joanna. It's lovely to have you here.
I'm delighted to be here.
Just what we need.
It is. We need to play a little bit more. This is being published today, and when you think of play, you don't necessarily think of adults. You think of it as a childhood thing, but it's not.
No, and we really need to challenge that. And I think that's a really dominant idea, particularly in Western society, where we see play is child stuff. It's a box of toys, it's a room full of props and bits and pieces, it's sitting down with your action man and your Barbie doll, it's playing in that way. That is one type of play for a stage of our lives. But the point is that we have to keep playing throughout the journey of our lives, because play is exactly how we transition from early to mid-childhood, mid to teenagers, into young adulthood, other adulthood, and then our older stages. But we never lose the need to play, but we stop doing it at great cost to ourselves, our well-being, our sense of connectedness. Everything suffers when we stop playing.
Life gets a bit serious, doesn't it? And particularly when you read the news and the papers, you're following everything that's going on, it can bring you down a bit. But then if I'm messing in here, I get told stop being a child.
And I'm going to challenge that and say you're allowed to do that. That's really important, because this is a playful job, so this is a playful place, and you get to do that as part of your job. But so many people don't. And of course, I'm not here to say adult life isn't serious and we don't have serious responsibilities. Of course we do. But there is also a seriousness to play. And we saw this come into sharp focus over the COVID restrictions and the pandemic, especially the early restrictions, when very abruptly we had to make massive changes to how we live, how we work, how we socialise, how we parent, how we teach. Everything had to change with no notice. It called for a high level of flexibility and adaptability. The more playful amongst us adjusted quicker, because play fuels flexibility and adaptability. It helps us to think creatively with curiosity around, well, I wonder if I did it this way, and what if we tried? A curious mind is a playful mind. So we really have to get away from play as a box of toys to play as a state of mind, and it's a way of being. And that's what this book is. It's taking you on a journey through understanding your play history. You know, for lots of us, we had a lovely childhood with adults who encouraged us to play and be playful, and for some of us we didn't. And whatever our play history is, we need to capture that to understand how we engage or not with playfulness now, but embrace the opportunity to write the next chapter ourselves and say, well, I'm going to live a more playful life, and I need practical steps that will get me there.
What do you mean by play as an adult? Like, I know during lockdown, like friends of mine started colouring books and Lego. My God, the Lego in our house and the jigsaws and all that kind of stuff for adults did seem to grow up. Or is it?
But it all stopped probably then.
Yeah, it probably has
such
stopped.
a shame,
It probably has stopped now. Or like, are we sitting there going, oh, you need to, run around, we need to play a game of, hide and seek or something like that?
It's all of that.
Something that we probably won't do when you're.
Well, do you know, it's all
30s.
of that, but there are different types of play. We have light-hearted play, people who kind of find a playfulness in anything and everything around them.
Okay.
But we also have an other-directed play pattern where I'm kind of serious in my own life, but when I meet up with you, we do something together, we hang out, we have a playful connection, we do an activity or whatever it might be. And some of us are very whimsically playful, where, we literally just love having the crack anywhere we can find it, and we're a bit of a joker. And in that, I don't want anyone thinking, oh my gosh, she wants us to play as adults, and that means she wants to convert us all into children's TV presenters, a little hyper with the dyed hair and the very colourful clothes. That's one type of play. Tommy.
Who are you looking at here? Welcome, children, this morning.
More hyper. Later, get yourself some toilet roll holders and we'll make some.
But that's one type of playfulness. Yeah. But there is another way of easing ourselves into this. And what I'm calling for is that we make it a small practice per day. So I'm looking at our play in ourselves, in our own lives, in relationships, all of our relationships, intimate partner relationships, friend relationships, adult sibling, or being the adult child of an ageing parent, those relationships as well, and in our workplace. And I think you mentioned Lego. It's such a great one because you can take a handful of Lego blocks and a little tub of Play-Doh or putty and a pen and a piece of paper and shove it in your desk drawer. And when you're in a moment that you feel really stuck, and we all have those moments of, I've been staring at this screen or this page now for so long, the words are swimming, but I'm not taking anything in. You need a play break. Turn away, take out the Legos, build the Legos for a few minutes, mould with the putty, the Play-Doh, do a little doodle, and I've got a couple of drawing doodle activities that move us from one side of our brain to the other. Put them back, and you're going to come back to work in a more playful, curious, open state of mind.
Okay, so it's simple things. It's
really
not actually
simple
going
things.
out and playing hide and seek like you're saying. What about
but it could be, Tommy. But it could be.
But what about, because I find that you go from work to home, any spare time that you have, even take the dog for a walk, you're always listening to music, you're watching, listening to a podcast, you're watching a TV series. There's very little time actually where you're bored or there's nothing to do. Is that a bad thing?
Oh, I think that's such a loss to all of us. I think one of the greatest crises we're facing is our incapacity to be bored anymore. In boredom, what you really are is in a free-floating state of daydreaming, daytime reverie, where your mind can wander and you think of things and you mull over things and you get ideas. Out of boredom comes desire, but we're sabotaging boredom with constant stimulus. The podcast, the streams, the information, the scrolling that you don't even know what you're looking at. One small change you could make right now is on your journey to work, especially if it's public transport, not while you're driving, please keep yourself brain on if you're driving, is don't use your phone, but look out of the window and just notice things, pick
Well,
up
even if
new
you're driving,
information,
turn off
talk
the radio.
to somebody beside
Turn off
you.
the radio.
Turn off the
Yeah,
radio.
yeah.
Yeah. Sing a song instead. I'm a big fan of having an else sing and a dance in the car. A little
That's
shoulder
nice.
bob.
But this is, to me, that's my idea of hell. I'm like, I want to be in the car by myself. It's my favourite time. I want to listen to a book. I hate when someone says, can I have a lift? And I know it's bad for the environment, sorry. But, you know, I want to get lost in my own thing. But I do realise as well that there are times when you just need your brain to drift and switch off, and that can be playing Patience or something like that.
You're totally right, but that might not be the car for you. And knowing that about yourself is really important. So I would say to anyone, don't start with where you feel the greatest degree of resistance. You wouldn't do that with anything.
Okay.
Well, this is where I'm going to be least comfortable doing it. I'll start there. Absolutely not. You're going to say, no, that's a sacrosanct space for me. I like this journey to be done this way. But I could build playfulness while I'm cooking in the kitchen, while I'm doing some other task for sure. You'll find your window. And what we need to do is make space for playfulness in our lives. It's going to make us creative, flexible, adaptable. It will increase empathy. Play is a relational experience. It fuels connection within ourselves and with other people within the environment around us. If we start to live more playful lives, we will be happier.
That does sound like it makes so much sense.
Your book, it is Why We Play, How to Find Joy and Meaning in Everyday Life. And it is out today. And listen, I think a lot of things that you're saying, they do make sense, but it is actually making a conscious decision.
It really
try
is.
and...
It's a practice, and you're going to embrace it as a daily practice.
Yeah, but listen, it's a minute to do a little doodle.
I'm going to go and play Patience. You know, the game, the card game. I love that.
Definitely getting the Lego out until the kids steal it. And
Yeah.
Joanna Fortune, thank you so much, and congratulations on the new book. Great to have you with us.
It's time for a break now, but Alan, what will be coming up afterwards?
Yeah, I think I'll have a little play in a minute now. We all
What
have
sort
a
of
little
play? Do you want to play hide and seek? Are you any good at it?
hide and seek, will we?
Okay, right.
Find me! Where am I? Well, now, if you're a fan of MMA, you'll be excited for the return of Bellator to the Ciarán next weekend. After the break, Deric enters the octagon for... Come back! Come back! Thanks for staying with us now. He's been training hard all morning, but I reckon Conor McGregor can sleep easy. Deric's been getting a crash course in MMA. There he is, in the cage. Good morning to you, Deric. How's it shaping up in there?
Oh my goodness. This is going to be good TV anyway. Bellator 285 is back with a bang on Virgin Media Television. What a lineup we have for you next Friday week. And we're going to come into the cage now for my first ever MMA Masterclass. Right. Coach Paul, how are we doing?
Your turn now.
Right, my turn. What are we going to do first?
So we're going to do an entry into a double leg. I'm going to use that to get around and take the back. When you get into the back, we're going to do what's called a hip bump to get you down to the mat, all right?
Okay, nice and simple, nice and handy. Okay, right, let's go.
You relax your hands up, hands up.
Relax each other.
So I want to get close to you, so I'm going to use my strikes to guide me closing the distance. We call it closing the distance, all right?
Yep.
So we're going to start off with a backhand. This should draw up your guard.
Okay.
And a hook. After the hook, at the same time, I'm going to do what's called a level change. So I want to keep my head up, back straight. We're kind of going to do what's a rugby tackle, all right? So I'm going to connect my shoulder and my chest to your hip, all right? So watch. Again, I go cross, hook. I'm going to step through, level change.
Okay, level change.
My head stays up, all right?
Yeah.
So what we don't want to do is put our head down, okay? So as the head goes down, we can get a knee in the face. Go on, throw a knee.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh.
Nice.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, or you could sprawl on top of me, all right?
Yeah.
So the head stays up. I go cross, left hook, I level change. This is going to the hip, and this is going deep on the knee, okay? And I'm going to drive forward. Nice. You stay up, and I come to the back, right?
Yeah,
so
okay.
Once I'm at the back, look, I'm going to get full connection here, right?
Yeah.
Good tight grip. From here, I'm going to get you to the mat, and in MMA, we try to use the technique rather than strength, so we're going to use a hip bump. So there's actually no strength in this. It's a kind of like a.
Oh my God, the power of that.
Yeah.
That's fast, right? All right, so that's that. That's the bump to the mat. Nice and simple, nice and dandy. Right, what's the next move?
Okay, so once you get someone down, I mean, it depends on what. So you just go on then, elbows on the mat.
Elbows
so
on the mat.
we landed in this position, all right?
So wait, you.
We're going to finish with a choke, okay?
A choke, right.
We're going to go get what's called a seatbelt. So this hand comes over the neck, and we join our hand on the knee.
Okay.
My left knee comes through, and we're going to pull you to the side.
Mother of mercy.
Just leg pops through.
Okay, yeah.
I catch the wrist.
Catch this, yeah.
Second hook comes in. Look, you can trap this arm. And then look, I want to get underneath your chin.
Yeah.
How do I get out of it?
All right, what's the third move? What's the third move?
Okay, so for me personally, I come from a striking background, so I like to try and get some shots in. So you can go on back down.
Yeah,
back down. So on your elbows.
Oh, my elbows, yeah.
So if I land here, I like to get what's called a spiral. So we're going to put the hand on the far leg for control, and then I can start to throw some
punches in at the side.
Punches to the head. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to pull you and flatten you on your back.
Okay.
Once you get you on the back. Around into the mount. And here.
And then here we go. And then straight down.
It's over.
And then, because I'm from Limerick, I come back. And then I go for it. Into the cage. There we go. So there we have it, lads. Bellator 285 is back on Virgin Media next Friday week. It promises to be a great lineup. And I'm not letting this guy out at all. Here we go.
There we go.
I want to keep watching. Keep watching. Hit him a deck.
Hit him a what?
A deck him. No.
No.
No, you don't be saying that.
It's morning time. It's morning time. Don't be all lovely.
It's MMA. That's what they do.
Oh, okay, it's playtime. It's like what we do here all the time when we play. What you make of that now, Deric?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Interesting. Would you be up for that for your exercise? No, it's not for you.
Bit of a walk down the beach.
Not for our Alan. That's not what it is at all. You can catch the main card for Bellator 285 live from the 3 Arena on Virgin Media 3 on Friday, September the 23rd.
There you go. And MMA fans can also watch all the prelims live on Virgin Media More. Looking forward to that.
We'll have to send you down to that, will we?
We'll get Deric into the thing.
That'll be packed, won't it, down the 3 Arena?
Yeah.
I just love it,
I think you'd fit in.
No.
I think wouldn't Alan fit in?
It's ringside, though. Like, you hear the noises. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome.
I'd just like to send you down there with the camera just to see your face.
No,
it's
me
not
for me. Now, lots of texts coming in all morning on different topics, but just we were talking about the cost of living crisis and everything like that. Cornelia says, why are people and politicians not mentioning the USC charge that they put on people as an emergency tax? Why is this not being scrapped now to help people out? This should be brought up more. And we have mentioned this a few times on the show recently.
The amount of time a politician is in the government, we're like, when are you getting rid of it? When are you getting rid of it? When are you getting rid of it? They're never going to get rid of it.
They just move on to the next thing.
Same as income tax after the war. They're going to keep...
Even the tax proposals that have been brought forward by Pascal Donoghue as well, one of them was about scrapping the Help to Buy scheme, which has been so beneficial to so many people as well. But they're actually talking about scrapping it. Tom said, I can't believe they're getting rid of the Help to Buy scheme. Now, just to be clear, this is a proposal. They haven't got rid of it, and they may not. But typical that they would get rid of something that might actually help us.
0896 111 111 to get in contact with us.
Yeah, now coming up in the final hour, actor Julian Ovenden tells us what it's like.
Welcome back to the final hour of Ireland AM.
He's been in everything from Bridgerton to Downton Abbey and lots more. Actor Julian Ovenden tells us about the West End musical he's bringing to Dublin.
Brittany and Christina, do you know what? They're fighting. Are you all right? Are you okay? It's not 2002. No, it is current day. We'll be rounding up the latest showbiz news in just a while. Devastated,
how
aren't you?
Excited. Listen, I presume Harry and Meghan, of course. Alan, there's Harry and Meghan in the showbiz.
Of course there is.
Surprise.
Of course there is. You can't have a showbiz without Harry and Meghan. Now, and in the kitchen this morning, Suzie Lee is chefing it up, and it's a veggie dish.
Indeed it is. It's a butterbean curry, cheap and cheerful, all from the cupboards.
And you're saying to me, we were just chatting there, and you were saying, this is a feed a family for four for less than €5.
Yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant. So that's the type of thing we're looking at. And very tasty. It smells beautiful. I'm telling you. Looking forward to that, Tommy?
Looking forward to that.
There
Cool.
you go. Now,
You're right.
Deric has been putting his MMA skills to the test all morning. If you missed it, it was a beautiful thing. How are you getting on now, Deric? You all right? The ribs okay?
Come here. This fella's got a big fight next Friday night. He's 5 times pro champion here. So we started to put him through his paces before the big one. He's not letting me out. Up. Up.
Do you know someone who should be crowned an inspirational county hero? Together with Gala Retail, we're celebrating the achievements of others whose incredible efforts have had a real impact on our communities. Gala is gifting 26 county heroes with hotel stays worth €1,000 for every winner, be it the local charity fundraiser or sporting volunteer. We want to hear about your inspirational county hero. To nominate, simply tell us why they are so special in under 200 words on gala.ie/inspiration awards by Sunday the 2nd of October.
Hiya, you're very welcome back.
Hiya. Hey, Tommy.
How are you?
All right, Tommy. How are you?
The very best of luck to everyone taking part in the gala competition. A text in about a lot of Irish young people. 7 in 10 are considering leaving the country. And we have a text in from somebody saying, I can understand why so many young people are moving away. I'm a single dad with 7-year-old twin boys, and if I didn't have a good job, there is no way I would still be in this country. It's impossible for young families, young people in general, to survive.
Well, how about this from Helen? I'm on a good €42,000 salary being a manager, but I am 10k under the average for my job. I was crippled with rent and I'm over the threshold to get any help. My partner lost his job just before I had a baby. He is currently studying to get out of his healthcare career. We are struggling as the maternity benefit is only 250 quid a week. It's good to help people on minimum wage, but we are forgotten about. They had to move into a mobile home or I'd be facing homelessness.
Wow.
Now I'm facing a cold winter in a mobile home without central heating and the price of gas and electricity is rising. I'm sure there are people who are much worse off than me, which is a scary thought. So Helen is already thinking about other people, not just herself. €42,000
And she's to move into a mobile home. It's just terrible. It's shocking. And Jarrah says, my daughter's going into her 2nd year at DCU nursing course. She has to pay we have to pay €900 a month for her rent, and then there's her living expenses. She has a part-time job, but that's not going to get her anywhere. She's told us as soon as she's qualified, she's off to Australia.
Do you know how sad must that be for Jarrah? Because she's going to lose her daughter. Yeah. Potentially for, she might be in Australia forever.
Well, my sister went for a year and she's still there, and that was 20 years ago.
If my daughter or son were to go to the other side of the world, I'd be heartbroken.
Yeah, it's very,
so whatever
very
about young people have to choose, they're being forced to leave, or they feel they're being forced to leave. Also, parents are losing their children.
Thank you for those messages, and I'm sure, we're 13 days until the budget. We don't know what's going to happen there. I'm sure we'll be discussing it an awful lot more. But coming up, something completely different. You'll know him from the likes of Downton Abbey and Bridgerton. Actor Julian Ovenden will be telling us about his latest musical role. It's taken to the stage in Ireland. We'll talk to you shortly. Now, from Downton Abbey to The Crown and mixing with real-life royalty, this actor, he's done quite a lot of things, lads.
Yeah, and his next role sees him take to the stage of the Bord Gais Theatre, which he did last night and is here this morning. Julian Ovenden, let's take a look at him in action with Lady Mary from Downton. Have a look at this.
And that's how he likes to be said hello to. He was like, why aren't you smearing something across my face?
Oh, yes, lovely, we're showing this one, are we?
Julian, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Morning. Great to be here.
What? You're sort of period. We think of Keira Knightley with period dramas. You're the guy that gets a call as well for period dramas.
Especially when pigs are involved.
When pigs are involved. When you were looking at that, you were like, oh no, not that one. Bit of crack filming with Michelle Dockery in a pig sty.
Let me tell you, pigs are very, very difficult co-stars. They don't like to rehearse. They also can bite.
Can they?
Yes.
And did you get a bite?
No, I didn't actually.
No, that was mine. It was Michelle.
All from Michelle.
No, it was Michelle who took it all.
No, it was great. That scene, obviously quite famous. I think it was voted the most favourite scene of the whole series, the whole thing. Yeah. And it sort of happened. I seem to remember it sort of happened organically when we were sitting in this, the sty, and Michelle sort of had this idea, and we sort of ran with it, and it was. Yeah, it was great.
And that was sort of the storyline about the will she, won't she with you, and there was the three of you in a...
Oh, yeah, in a sort of love triangle.
In a love triangle, yes.
Yes.
And you lost out.
Yes, mystifyingly. Completely. Well, she obviously took that. Obviously, Downton would have carried on for another 3 or 4 seasons, but
had it been for you.
Exactly, but there we go.
That's it. Downton, everyone, of course, like in lockdown, everyone knows you from Bridgerton. I mean, that Christmas we were all like, everyone really knows everyone from Bridgerton. You like to disrobe a lot.
Yeah.
No one gave us any warning when we were watching this with our parents. It was like, oh, lads.
Yeah. I think when we were filming, had no idea that it would be such a success. But I think a lot of things went in our favour. Obviously, the pandemic and people just sort of chained to their televisions at home, and then you ran out of things to watch, and then suddenly there was this fresh, vibrant show that came on and sort of reinvented period drama, I suppose, in the English period drama. So it was great fun to be in.
Because it was fun. Like, it really did have people talking, and I know you said it was unexpected.
Yeah.
But taking that genre and you're turning it on its head, making it so popular the world over, must have been lovely.
It's always nice to be in something that's watched. Because, to be honest with you, nowadays there's so many shows. Like,
there is.
You trawl through, Amazon or Netflix or whatever, all those other 19 different cable streaming services. Who is watching this stuff?
Yeah.
But, so it's lovely to be in something that's so popular.
And, like, we take from the royalty of Bridgerton and then real royalty, and we know the sad passing of Her Majesty in the UK. But you actually knew Her Majesty quite well, and you've sang...
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I knew her very well.
You have sang for her. Tell us about your father's connection.
Yeah, my father used to work for her as her chaplain for about 15 years in Windsor. And I've been lucky enough to perform for her for a few occasions, particularly on her 90th birthday, where I did a private concert in Windsor, which was a great privilege. So, yeah, I've had a little bit of a inside...
And what's that like, then? I mean, when you're saying when it's private, because we see the pomp and ceremony.
Course,
so
yes.
when it is more of a private thing, are they as relaxed as people say when they are together like that?
Oh, yeah.
When they were together?
Yeah, they like a drink.
As we can tell from the Crown, absolutely.
They're pretty, they're in a way a fairly normal family with their, their traits and their idiosyncrasies. And yeah, it's rather amazing to sort of have a little window into that, into their world. It must be very difficult, I think, living in that environment. And I think that, it's been amazing, certainly for my father to sort of, to experience that, especially because the royal family changed after Diana dying. I think they really made a concerted effort to sort of open things up a bit and be more relaxed, be more approachable, and to modernise the whole institution. So, yeah, he was there during that period.
And I think we've seen that with King Charles this week. I mean, basically just wanting to be, like, among the people.
Well, also, all the coverage, all the TV coverage and allowing cameras into, kind of things that wouldn't have been there before.
Yeah.
And making it more, trying to make people understand it more, I suppose. It is crazy in a way. And sort of, I think it can feel out of touch to a lot of people. But certainly the Queen was sort of an extraordinary person in many ways.
Charles seems to be having a nightmare with pens.
I know.
Someone just buy him a big pen. They're exploding all over him, so if you want to get him a present, send him a few balls.
The next time you sing for them.
Yeah, here's a pen, sir.
There's a pen.
It's a Bic biro. You'll be grand with it.
Okay, yeah.
You are in Ireland this week. You're on stage performing South Pacific.
Yeah.
How's it going? You just opened last night?
Opened last night, so I get brownie points for being here.
Well done,
do.
And
now,
2 shows today.
I'm a big musical fan, but I'm not quite familiar with South Pacific, so fill us in on the story.
South Pacific is one of the great musicals. I put it up there in the top 3. It's set in the Second World War on an island in the South Pacific, and it's a big, epic love story. And it is one of the great shows. It's heartbreak, it's moving, it's entertaining. It's got some of the greatest songs ever written.
Some Enchanted Evening.
Yeah.
Watch That Man.
Watch That Man, yes.
Yeah,
you know it. You know it.
I do, and I'm not a musical person, but I know that song. I know that
Watch
song.
That Man right out of your hair.
Oh, girl. Oh, girl. Had to do it a few times.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. And it hasn't been performed in Ireland, I think, for quite a number of years. I think at least 30 years. Had a great response last night. The audience really, really loved it. So it's a great night out.
And you have an exceptional tenor voice.
Well,
see,
you're damn right. You're damn right.
It says here, exceptional tenor voice.
Yes. I spent hours writing that.
I just had to read that.
Sing.
I was going to ask for a blast. Maybe you could give us a little bit.
You must be kidding at 9:17.
It's like, are you actually mad?
I've got 2 shows today, Alan.
You've got 2 shows today?
Yeah, 2 shows today. And 2 shows tomorrow.
And 2 shows tomorrow.
Packing them in.
Having that sort of a life, being able to go between... Because so many things are being filmed in the UK, you know, being able to do the TV stuff like The Crown and all that kind of stuff, and then getting out like West End, Broadway, travelling around.
Yeah,
it's pretty good life, I'd imagine.
It is busy, and yeah, I like I get bored easily.
Yeah,
and I like to do lots of different things. So and you don't, as an actor, sometimes it's you know, you often get put in a box, and you go, well, this is what you do, and this is what you do. And I've tried really hard, you know, in my kind of career thus far to you know, to not do that.
Yeah, because sometimes for musical theatre actors, it can be hard to be like to transition, right?
It's very difficult. It's easier in America. They seem to be more sort of accepting of people who do different things. But here in, you know, in the UK, it's I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're boxed into your musical theatre?
I think so, and I think we've been snobbish about musicals.
Yeah.
But I think that's changing because it's big business.
Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso, she's talking about it all the time. Look at your musical theatre actors and actresses, because she's obviously from the West End.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard graft. You know, doing 8 shows a week, you've really got to kind of be able to deliver. And I think that's good. You know, that's good discipline.
Exceptional tenor voice.
That's
what we have
you can hear him exceptionally singing at the Bord Gais Energy Theatre in South Pacific until Saturday.
Thank you.
The 17th, that's when it's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Julian. Thank you so much for
and
coming in to us.
we didn't even get to your new movie with Alison Janney.
And we missed out everything.
Everything.
We could have been here. We could have done another half an hour.
I know.
Eton. He went to Eton, lads. Wanted to find out about that. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Julian.
Lovely speaking to you.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. Bye. Now, still to come this morning, we have a veggie curry in the kitchen. Do you like a veggie curry?
Yep, definitely.
There you go.
Julian, we're also doing the latest Showbiz drama. We're going to be talking about Kim K and Beyonce. Do you like that as well?
I love Beyonce.
He's staying for it all.
I think of myself as the male Beyonce.
The male Beyonce?
Beyonce.
All the single men. All the single men. Beyonce. We'll talk to you in a minute.
Now, it actually smells lovely in the kitchen this morning. Tommy, what are you wearing?
That was good. He was on one this morning. Suzie Lee, don't listen to him. It's your gorgeous curry. How are you getting on? What have you got for us?
We are making a Butterbean and lentil curry. So cheap and cheerful, all from your cupboards. And
yeah, you were saying earlier on, a family of 4 for less than €5.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
You know, you kind of have all of these ingredients anyway, apart from maybe I'm using butter beans, but you use chickpeas. Some people don't like either or. So some oil in here.
What's the difference?
Just the texture, like, you know, and just a different shape, really. But it has that kind of, like, pulse kind of taste. So frying off some onions.
Oh, I love that, the sizzling.
The sizzling.
When it goes in, it's nice and sizzles up.
OK, just going to put a splash of water just to stop them burning.
OK.
Ooh.
So that's... Would you always do that?
I always do that because sometimes you walk away, sometimes there's a child screaming.
Yeah.
So I just put a splash of water just in case, and it just helps them kind of soften down.
But you just want to sauté them, really, don't you? You're not really don't want to brown them.
No, you just want them...
I burn them too much, too often.
So we splash of water. We splash of water. So you're just going to slowly cook those down, and then you add in some garlic and some ginger. But if you don't have the fresh stuff, then use dried equivalent, because yet again,
and you
they
get
last
your frozen
longer.
stuff as well.
Oh, the frozen stuff is great. But if you have these and you don't use all of them within that week, grate them down and put them into the freezer. So you have like teaspoons worth or into ice cream.
Pop it in.
But I have the garlic in the jars, but that's OK.
That's fine. Absolutely, the lazy.
Not really.
The lazy.
It's not really, is it? No.
So you let that sort of cook away.
It's pure garlic.
I love the smell of fried onions. And
yeah. So once that sort of starts to really smell and you can see that the onions are kind of translucent, you add in your spices. So we've got some curry powder and some garam masala, and that's just extra spices just to give it some more heat.
Now, is there a certain type of curry powder that you always go to? Or is it just any supermarket bought curry powder? Or
any kind of supermarket, like curry powder, there's usually 5 or 6 kind of different spices in it, blended up to make that blend. But you can make your own. But for me, I'm just adding a little bit more of this garam masala has more of a hint of like there's coriander seeds and cumin and all that kind of stuff just for blended in. So you're just whacking that in, and this is the bit where you're going to want to fry off. This is the choking bit.
So how much of each?
Oh, so for this recipe, there is like 2 tablespoons of curry powder. So if you want a hotter, a spicier one, a medium or a hot one.
Get the smell of that here.
Yeah, and then half a tablespoon of garam masala. So once you have actually allowed that to sort of sizzle and kind of dry cook for a couple of minutes, then you literally whack in everything
Everything's in now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wouldn't put the water in now, like a little bit, just if it's kind of burning
yes,
a little
bit?
bit?
It is burning, yeah.
Okay.
So if it's slightly catching, so there's slight bit of burning there.
Sticking to the bottom
Sticking to the bottom, just a little bit, just to deglaze it in a sense, and there's more smoke. So then we're adding things such as your butter beans, but if you don't like butter beans, then you add in chickpeas instead.
Okay.
This is just
what are the
an extra...
difference?
They're just another pulse, but it's just a texture. So, like, the butter bean is obviously like a larger kind of pulse, and then the chickpeas are the smaller ones. So that's your hummus, and then this is your butter bean. So I put in the water and all, just to save on that.
Strain it off.
Why waste it?
Why bother?
You know, it's just the water that's cooking.
It's flavoured water, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A tin of chopped tomatoes.
Okay. Lovely. Now, a lot of chefs come in here and say, if you can afford good chopped tomatoes, it does make a big difference. But of course, we're on a budget here.
Yeah, so whatever you can afford.
Yeah,
genuinely, whatever you can afford. Lentils, just to give it that kind of meatier, and it thickens it. You don't need to add in.
When I was saying, looking at that, it looked like there was mince in it.
Yeah, so then you're just whacking those in, and then just a stock cube, and you can use a veggie stock cube or chicken stock cube, whatever you have
maybe in the cupboard.
In the cupboard. So then you're crumbling it in, and that's it.
Now,
add in some water.
How long does that now simmer for?
I let it simmer for about at least 20 minutes. You want the lentils to be cooked. So you don't want them to be, really like a crunch to them.
Could you slow cook it?
Absolutely.
Leave it so it's ready to go
this is like, you can put it from the night before and then you'll have it, or first thing in the morning, leave for work, and it'll be ready for you.
When you come back.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So slow cook it for at least 4 hours, because obviously you want it all really flavoursome.
And is that spinach there?
Yeah, so then towards the end, once it has had the 20 minutes at least, I go 30 minutes, leave it at a simmer. Then you put in, to finish off, a tablespoon of chutney, mango chutney, or whatever you have, a pickle. It just gives it that kind of sharpness. Add it in, taste it, and then obviously the spinach as well. So the quicker you put in the spinach, the more wilted it gets. So it's up to you.
And it's getting now to this sort of consistency here.
Yeah, so this kind of lovely, thick kind of consistency. Nice kind of stew-like consistency.
See, I love a stew and a curry like that, especially when you're moving into the cold weather.
Absolutely.
How do you do your rice? Do you have a knack to it? Do you just
so
boil
like literally you rinse off your starch off.
Right.
So I would do cold water, rinse it off, and then after that you put in enough water. Make sure you level off. So say that's the rice there. You've put in the water, and you're wanting to touch the top of the rice and make sure the water gets to your top of that knuckle.
All right. So fill it up and then about a finger.
Yeah, literally that's fail safe. Yeah. So bring it up to the boil, let it evaporate. Once you can see that there's a little bit of water left, take it off the heat and put the lid on, and it steams, and it never sticks to the bottom. Never.
I do the thing
How
where...
does it not stick to the bottom? Mine always sticks to the bottom.
Yeah, but I do...
Because the starch, you have to make sure you rinse off the starch.
Mine doesn't as well, because you know when you tear the pack and you put it in for 2 minutes? Literally, the best rice. You turn the pack and it goes in for 2 minutes.
That's a couple of euro for those.
Your microwave is very good, seemingly.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, your microwave is.
All right, well, listen, or else you can go and get a big sack of rice like this.
And that's the thing, you can freeze your rice. Do you know what I mean? Once you've cooked it, I put it into portions and put it into the freezer and then reheat it in the microwave.
I didn't know you could do that either. Because I thought it's something like reheating rice. You're not meant to do that.
No, that's
I just probably think it wouldn't be as nice second time round, but it's okay.
No, it's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I keep it in the fridge to make fried rice.
Yum. Right, let's have a taste of this. Looks good, doesn't it?
You can...
A veggie curry.
Veggie curry. And as you said, for around €5, I mean, to feed the family for an evening, that's good going.
And you can top it off with a little bit more spinach or yogurt if you would like. You know,
what about a bit more mango chutney? Would that go
yeah,
into it now?
absolutely. Yeah, so you would add in the mango chutney towards the end. So literally, once that's finished bubbling, mango chutney, some spinach, and then voila.
Yum.
But you can bulk it out. If you have chicken left, put that in.
Oh, it's lovely. Oh, it's so tasty. Wow.
And the butter beans are nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just kind of really hearty.
Check you out, Susie. Gorgeous.
So cheap and cheerful from the cupboard.
Yeah. Wow, that's delicious.
Sweet as well. Susie Lee,
thank you very much for
as
that.
always. Thank you
so much.
Love it. Now, coming up next, from Frosty Royal reunions to Momager. Yeah, something like that. Momager. Yeah, anyway, all the showbiz news is coming up next.
Thanks for staying with us now. From royal reunions to a celeb-filled birthday bash, it's been a busy few days in the world of showbiz.
Joining us now to give us all the goss is Katja Mia. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on again.
Good to have you here. Now, there's been a lot going on with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. It's not 1999. They're not fighting over genies and bottles or kissing Madonna. It's something that happened on Instagram.
It's fat shaming, yeah. Oh. So Britney, you know, she's been on a rant and she's active now on social media, and she basically took a dig at Christina Aguilera after sharing a post of herself nude with emoji covering her butt, and it was aimed at her dad, saying, "I'll never perform on stage again." And then it was followed by another savage post of her just describing how she was made feel so unconfident with her tiny backup dancers. And she said, "I would basically feel more skinny if I was surrounded by, like, fat dancers, basically." And she then took a dig at Christina Aguilera and her dancers.
I'd feel better if I was like Christina Aguilera, because her dancers were much bigger than her.
Yeah.
To make her look skinnier.
Yeah.
When Lizzo has just won an Emmy for Let's Hear It for the Big Girls.
I know.
And Britney's and we know that Britney has been out of the
Did she delete this now
limelight.
again? So she's doing these things where she goes on the rant and then she deletes
and
it.
It's because all her fans are like, "Come on, like, we've moved on. Fat shaming is not cool anymore.
Yeah.
I know you're healing, but we can't support that." And yeah, she deleted the post straight away. But of course, once something is up, people catch it. It's there. It's there forever.
It's the sort of thing where Britney is obviously quite fragile. She hasn't been in the world and dealing with social media in that way because everything was controlled.
Yeah, yeah.
That we're at a situation where people love her, but if it keeps on going on, people might turn against her to be like, "Okay, you need to stop now."
Yeah, don't you think she's stuck in that 2000s mindset?
Yes.
Yeah, she's
bless
like,
her.
I know. I do feel bad for her. So, like, I can't be too mad at her for that. I think she's just,
But a few more of these,
I know.
and you are going to get people going, "Okay,
I know.
you need to sort of
And people are already
get help
down
again."
about
Yeah.
There's a lot about, kind of going, embrace your body, love your body. This is so powerful and this is great for a lot of people. When Britney's getting naked on Instagram all the time and going naked on Instagram Live, you're like, "Oh no, no,
like,
please
don't do
stop."
that again.
Yes.
Stop.
Like, it is, because it does feel like, she's still a child.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to mind her or
I know.
something.
She's like missed out on all these years. It's like she's still like 20-something again. So
Oh, bless her.
I know.
Bless her. She wasn't at Beyonce's birthday bash.
No, did she get the invite?
She didn't
Don't
get the
think
invite.
so.
But apparently everyone else was. We saw Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, Lily Rose Depp, Bella Hadid, Lizzo was there, Drake, everyone was there. So Beyonce celebrated her 41st birthday in Bel Air, and it was all disco themed. She's an 80s baby, so of course you need a bit of roller disco in there, and she has her new dance album, which is very 80s inspired. I mean, everyone looked incredible, like Kim K wearing like Balenciaga head to toe. She looked insane, and obviously there was no pictures or videos inside.
Yes.
We know Queen Bee loves her privacy, but we saw everyone leaving.
41st, not even a big, like,
Now, hold on.
41st.
Can I just say, hold on one second, I'm 39, right? And I can go until late at night, that's grand.
Yeah.
But when you're starting a party at 10:30, I'd be at home, I'd be asleep. I'd have watched
It didn't start till half
10:30.
I know.
Now, I know you can start a party at 10:30,
do you know what,
Katja.
Muireann, I love going home and getting a bit of food. Like, I need to be home before midnight. Like, I swear to God.
So do we know any of the gossip on the night? No?
Well, we do know that there's rumours of Adele.
Oh, yeah, she was there.
Yeah, tying the knot with her beau, Rich Paul. She was wearing a huge gold band on her wedding finger, and that's why people are talking about it. I mean, if it was any other finger, then I don't think we'd really, like, bat an eyelid. But, yeah, it's this gold band, and she has talked about him before. She's obsessed with him. She says she's never been in love like this. She wants more kids. So who knows? I mean, she did get married in private with her
Simon,
her ex-husband. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm not mad at it either. I mean, they look great together.
They do look great together. I always feel bad for the exes when people are like, I've never been in love like this before.
It's such a dig. And listen, I think she's upgraded as well. I'm like, oh.
But himself and Simon Konecki, they're spotted together all the time.
Yeah.
Rich Paul, so it seems like they are mates.
They were good, yeah. And especially at that gig in Hyde Park, and they were at the bar backstage, and they were all getting along, and he was running the bar for everybody, and it was just like, oh yeah, all my boys are together.
They're all together.
They're all together.
Will we stay in London? Because I swear to Lord. So now we've got the Fab Four back together. We've got Meghan and Harry, and then Will and Kate, and everyone's staring at everything that they do.
I know. And their grandmother just died, but I guess they're like, everyone is almost really happy to see them together again. I know it's like unfortunate circumstances, but
you could drive a truck through Kate and William there. They don't want to be anywhere near each other.
It was actually so funny. Prince Charles became king officially at the Privy Council thing on the Saturday, and Sunday every single paper had the four of these.
I know.
Yeah, of course they did.
But that's who we're interested in. Like, the monarchy may be King Charles, but I'm reading about these four.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I'm seeing what are they wearing, what's their hair like, who are they talking to. So, of course, you know, there's always a bit of a wedge between William and Kate, and then you see Harry and Meghan holding hands. But I think that's just their style. I don't think it means there's...
Well, her going out in front of a British public, a lot of whom are very angry at her. You know, I think fair play to her for having this massive hug, but some scenes, there were people publicly like laughing at her walking past them.
Did you see that as well?
I did.
Yeah, I saw there was a video of a girl like refusing to shake her hand.
Shake her hand.
Well, it seemed like they spent 40 minutes outside Windsor Castle, and I think one side addressed, so Harry and Meghan addressed the left side, and William and Kate were on the right side. So, yeah, I mean, I think the crowd were warm and respectful, but there were videos of people being a bit, you know, like...
But you're going to get that. Look, I mean, you're going to get that.
Fair play to them, because they haven't actually been out in the public for years.
It's fine if someone does that to me, not if you're like...
No, but I mean, after all she's done and stuff, and people, I mean, you're going to get one or two people.
And this was a last-minute decision, so William extended the olive branch and asked them to join him this morning, but
and
it wasn't planned.
He will join William again today with Prince Charles walking behind the coffin.
And 1 million people are queuing up to try to see the Queen. They think only 400,000 are actually going to get to see her over 37 hours, but we'll see what happens there. Jedward's, this is really quickly, because Jedward is teaching the British about our colonial past.
Who knew they were into politics so much? But so they've basically gone on a Twitter rant, and they're receiving death threats and everything. They're not happy with the monarchy. They put a tweet with 21k likes saying, abolish the monarchy, we want democracy. So they've gotten a lot of hate over it, but they're not alone in their statements. We've seen Paul Mescal's girlfriend Phoebe Bridges also tweet against the monarchy, you know, mourning the lives lost during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. So I don't know, like, of course their timing is just not on.
No.
It's not on. Because
just a bit of history.
It's a bit of history. So everyone's
entitled. Everyone's entitled to free speech.
They are. Katja Mia, thank you so much for joining us today. You are so good. Tommy.
Thank you. Now, free speech to Tommy Bowe.
Yes, guys, I'm glad I missed that. Coming up on Thursday's show, we're going to be chatting to the world's most famous spoon bender. Uri Geller is going to be chatting to us about his new paranormal TV show. We've got that and lots more. We'll see you tomorrow from 7. Have a great day.